and welcome to today's video. Lisa here from Down to Earth Gardening and Design, and I'm so excited to be bringing you an update today on growing tomatoes. I did a video about 2 weeks ago on starting tomatoes by seed indoors, and I'm so excited to be growing my own nursery plants this year, and I'd love for you to come along on the journey with me. So in continuing with our tomato seeds, I wanted to bring you another update because they are starting to get their second set of leaves. So this is when it's time to pot them up to a bigger pot. So today I'm going to walk you through putting them each in their own little 4-inch peat pot. And I've done one just to show you. So if you'll remember from the very first video, what we did was we planted these gorgeous varieties of tomatoes. I have a few different varieties by seed, and we put them in our cell trays. And when I planted them, I did 2 seeds per cell, and the reason for that was that I wanted to make sure that at least one germinated. And actually, it was very successful, and in most cells here, there are at least 2 tomato seedlings. So at this point, I have a couple of options, and I also mentioned in my first video that option number 1 would be too painful for me. And what that is just snipping out the weaker tomato seedling and leaving the stronger one. And honestly, that's a good option. You know, all you do is you just take some small scissors and you cut out the weaker one right at the base. And then you've just got the one strong tomato seedling in the cell. But option number 2 is what I'm going to go with today, and that is repotting both of them. So if I do have a really weak seedling, you know, like you can see this little tiny one here, I am not going to repot that one, but in the cell next to it here, there's 2 healthy seedlings. So I'm going to repot both of those. So like I said, when they get their second set of leaves, they're looking nice and healthy, and then it's time to give them their own pot, and that way no one is competing for soil, nutrients, or light. So for the materials that I have today, because I love for you to follow along at home with me, I have my 4-inch peat pots, and I will put all of the materials that I'm using and that I really like for my projects in the description below. So I've got my peat pots. I do have my labels because I am going to need to make some more, so my labels and my markers. And then I've got my soil. Now I did have a little bit of seed starting mix left over, and so I mixed it with a nice organic potting soil. And I love using the nice organic stuff, and usually it has everything it needs right in the soil, so you don't have to worry about fertilizers and whatnot. And then my fun little tools here that I like to use for this are just some plastic utensils. So knife, fork, spoon. And then of course I've got my watering can and stuff. So step number 1 is to water all of the seedlings pretty well, because when we remove them, we want that soil to hold together right around the roots of the seedling. So I have watered this already. I've got the whole tray is moist. And then I'm going to put the one that I've done aside. I just take my peat pot, and I've got my soil in my trug here. And so I just fill it up. And I'm just kind of like shaking it down, you know, so it settles a little bit. You don't really want to compact the soil and press it down. So just leave it kind of loose here. All right, now the fun part. So I'm going to try to show you, make sure that you're getting a good view here. I'm going to take this tag out. So I like to loosen the cell up a little bit. Just kind of take your knife, go around the edges, And I don't want to lose my tag here. We're working with the Indigo Blue Beauties today. And then I'm really just going to try to loosen up the area in between the two. Okay. And I'm just going to make a little spot in my peat pot, and I'm going to transfer one of them. And I'm just trying to get as much of the soil around the roots as possible. And then I'm going to nestle it right in here. Now, a nice little hot tip for you right now is if your plants are looking a little too leggy, the easy solution to do at this point is to just bury them a little bit deeper. So you can just nestle it down, and then you can put some soil right around the base there. And so see, it already doesn't look as leggy. So here it is in its very own 4-inch peat pot. And I'm going to make sure to put the label back in so we don't lose track of our variety. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do a couple more while you're here with me. Okay, so I've done a few here, and I want to also talk about my setup and my lights a little bit before I leave you today. So then what I'm going to do is we're going to put our peat pots back underneath our grow lights, and I think I showed you my grow light setup last time when we started the seedlings, and I do really I'm loving this setup here. I like how it's got the double lights on each shelf, and it's got these adjustable chains because it is important to adjust the lights of the height of your lights. And I also really love that it's got these plastic mats here for each shelf, because especially right now when I'm putting the peat pots back on the shelf, I'm going to be watering them, and you really don't want your water to leak down into the next shelf because then it would short out your lights. So I think that's a really nice feature. The other thing that I didn't mention about this setup is if you are looking into purchasing one, this is a really nice one because when you set it up, you can also split it in half. So for me, it's a nice space saver to have it set up as one tall shelf, and it's got 6 shelves on it. But you do have the flexibility of doing 2 3-system shelves side by side. And then it does have the nice caster wheels on it. So when I'm ready to harden off my seedlings, I'm just going to roll it right outside. So now we're just going to put these back on the shelf, and we're going to keep them watered. And as I mentioned, I did a little short on the lighting and the watering. You want to make sure that you're checking them quite frequently. You don't want to overwater them, and you also don't want to let them dry out. So before I leave them today, I am going to give them a nice water, and then I'm going to keep checking them every day, which is kind of funny because I love checking them daily and seeing the growth. This has really been gratifying for me and a lot of fun. So as far as your lights go, when the seedlings started, we had them about 1 inch or 2 above the tops of the leaves. And at this point, you want to start lifting them up. These peat pots are a little shorter, so I've got them about, I would say 4 inches from the tips, and that is a really good height. So as they grow, I'm just going to keep moving mine up so they're about 4 inches from the leaves. And you really want to do that because, you know, they are getting a little bit bigger. We don't want them to be too leggy, and we really want the light to disperse pretty evenly over all of them. And I'm going to have this tray nice and filled up. So as always, I'm really excited to do this gardening project, and I am so appreciative for you guys joining me today. It's springtime and there's so many more videos coming your way. There's lots to do in the garden. So thank you for joining me. If you like the video, please tap like and subscribe to our channel for some future gardening fun.